and to be part of cases that have some age on them and some time and have had different investigators lead them. And to be successful in these cases, it takes a good foundation and takes the pieces to be there in the beginning. And this is one of those investigations where that occurred. The original investigations that took place and the interviews and the evidence gathering and everything that took place in 2003 enabled this investigation to keep getting continued. I'm not particularly a fan of the word cold case. I like an unresolved case. At no time was this ever a cold case. This case has had something going on with it for 20 years to keep it moving. As an investigator, and I know the other investigators that were involved in the case, once you take the step into the case itself or into the investigation, you become part of it. You become part of it in a different way than the family does and other people do, and you'll never put it down. So it's with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and your drive and your determination is there. And throughout this case, the different investigators that had it had that same drive and all those types of things. So what got us to the point where we're at today to be able to come with a resolution was this was a puzzle that had many pieces to it, and the foundation was built in the original investigation and a secondary investigation that took place about 10 years ago or more, where a lot of these pieces were all put in there. And I was blessed as the investigator that picked this case up in 2017 that somebody put all those pieces into place, had all these things already laid out, and I was able to focus on the pieces that were missing. And with the pieces that were missing, because there was such a good foundation, was able to take a look at what was missing and just focus just on what was missing. And by focusing on what was missing is what got us to a resolution. The resolution all goes back to all those types of things. So it's hard to take an older case and look at it. I didn't get to intimately know the people in the case. I didn't get to know all the original interviews that were done. And this case, for instance, or this investigation, probably had over 50 persons' names in it. So it's a lot to take on when you pick a case up to learn who those 50 people are, learn who they are and everything. But because of the good casework that was done in the past, it really was not too challenging to do that, to be able to pick it up and move on with that. Without leading out to every piece of how we got to where we're at today, the important part is that the timing was right. This is not anything that couldn't have been done in past investigations. It just happened to be that the timing worked out with some interviews and with some strategies that was not in place in the past. And so with that was where we were able to make a turn in it and get those pieces that we needed for the puzzle to figure everything out. So some of the people in the room, I definitely want to acknowledge our previous investigators on the case, which would have been Steve Oliver and Chuck Eaton, and Cindy Waters as an analyst for putting that together. That's the case file that I ultimately worked off of and had to do very little to add to. We just had to take the pieces that they already knew was there. They knew they were there when they worked on it, and I was able to find an angle to work with those pieces. I had a lot of help from a lot of different groups in that. Most of them are represented in the room today. I'd be remiss not thanking Special Agent John Cromer for his assistance in his thought process through all of it. So as time goes on a little bit, and the charges are announced who it is, and depending on what happens through court, we'll be able to paint the whole picture for everybody to have an understanding of what happened in the case. So with that, I don't have any questions to answer particularly, but I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. My name is Eric Branscombe. I'm the Commonwealth Attorney for Floyd County. I just want to say that this is a case that's always been vitally important to Floyd County and the people of Floyd County, and we feel exceptionally blessed to have such a talented team from the local and the state police working on this. The Sheriff's Office, the Virginia State Police that have been from the very beginning working on this have all contributed. This has been a team effort over 20 years, accumulating all the evidence that brings us to the point that we can bring this case forward today. There are a number of issues that came up with this as we proceeded through this. All of these have been challenging, but again, we have a very fine team, and we're proud of them and proud that they're able to work with us and bring us to this case. At this point, the case has been presented to the grand jury. We are now in a state where we're waiting for those charges to be served upon the individual that's been charged. When that has happened, we'll be able to release that. There'll be public information. I'll be glad to release that and let everyone know. That'll probably be within the next week. I can tell you that he is currently in custody, and so on other charges unrelated or only tangentially related to this incident. So we will be proceeding with that. This is a case that we're expecting to bring forward as soon as possible before the courts, but I imagine that this is a complicated case and will take a great deal of time as we go through. So I don't expect this to happen quickly, but I do expect that it will be moving forward. We have, again, a great team of people working to put this together, and it's been very well organized as we have moved forward. At this point, I'd be glad to accept or hear any questions that y'all might have.
I was just going to say, for those who have worked on this case, more of an emotional level, what does it mean to you to be able to, hopefully at this point feel like you're going to bring a close to this over 20-year investigation?
Doug, I think has worked on this the longest.
I've not worked on it the longest,
No,
but
maybe
I've
not,
worked on it the
sorry.
most recently. It's a feeling that I don't know that I've had before on a case to this level, to be able to share with the family, my coworkers, and the community that we're bringing a resolution to it. I don't know that it's closed or there's closure necessarily, but they were able to come to a resolution. For me, as an investigator, I take these things pretty personally, and I take it in a level that I want to figure it out. And the challenge and the stress that's always there when you can't figure something out, this has brought relief to me on the aspect that I think I figured something out, or that we figured out something. And we've shared a good part of it with the family, and as time goes along, they're going to get the complete puzzle.
Yeah, you guys were talking about this being a puzzle. Can you share a little bit about what that missing piece was that ultimately led you to close this case?
Well, ultimately, that will come out as we're in court. It's not something I want to be discussing until then, but I can tell you that will come out relatively soon, as the hearings that I expect will happen as we prepare the case and as the initial hearings move forward in the next month or two. No? At this point, would anyone from the family like to say anything? We have Mr. Palmer's family here, and they've been with us through all of this, and we've been trying to work closely with them, and just want to recognize that they've put up with they've had a number of years that they've had to endure this, and we appreciate their help and cooperation as we've proceeded with this case.
I guess any of you can share what it's like to maybe have a little bit of closure on what happened.
Well, we're extremely grateful to everyone here who has worked so hard on this case. It's a very bittersweet time for all of us. We've struggled with emotions this week after finding out what was going to happen, but we want to be happy about it, but at the same time there's a deep sadness and just a overwhelming void in our family that will never go away. Closure is not a word that really fits for us. We miss Dickie terribly, and what he added to our family.
And then what was your name and how you spell it?
Beth Burbage, B-U-R-B-A-G-E.
Your sister?
Yes, I'm his little sister. And my big sister, Sandra.
Beth, do you and your family intend to, go to all the court hearings and follow along in these next steps?
As much as we can, absolutely.
Can I ask you what justice looks like for you?
Well, justice to us, and I guess I'm speaking for my sister. I can't speak for Jeremiah, Anna, and I can speak for my husband a little bit too, I think. Justice to us, we're not a revenge family. We don't seek revenge, but we would like to see whoever did this stay in prison for the rest of their lives. That would be justice for us.
Now, also with us today, we have our current sheriff of Floyd County, Brian Craig, and our immediate former sheriff of Floyd County, Shannon Zeman. Both have been helpful in the course of the investigation as well. And Shannon was involved with this and has known the family for some years, so I'm going to ask him to make some closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. Well, it is a day of a lot of emotions, that's for sure. But we are thankful, and I want to say to the family that I hope that this brings you some peace. I know there can never be enough justice for the family and what they've lost in such a horrific crime that happened here, senseless. And I can't help but think about Mr. Palmer's mother and father today. They are both passed, and I know this was a lot of stress to them over the years. So I want to remember them. And, I guess some of the positive things that come to mind are the law enforcement here that I've been retired for 9 years. And this community has not forgotten about Mr. Palmer because I'm still often asked about this case. And so it brings some closure for the community as well. And I want to say to past law enforcement and future law enforcement here in Floyd, for an old guy, it really makes me feel good. The Virginia State Police and the Floyd County Sheriff's Office always worked as a team, and they're continuing to do that for the safety of this community. And we're just thankful for that. And I'll close by saying that I hope God blesses each one of you. Good health and safety, and be with Mr. Branscombe and Special Agent as they go through this case. We thank you for coming out and being with us today. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for being here today. If there are any questions, feel free to come up and ask us, or find individuals that you want to ask any further questions to.